Welcome to another edition of Living Legacies. I'm Tom Morrow, your host, and today we have a lifelong resident of Oceanside, Pete Magana, and I always enjoy talking with people who were born and grew up in Oceanside to compare the different lifestyles of what a small town like Oceanside was back in the 20s and the 30s compared to what it is today, a major city. Welcome, Pete, to our show.
Thank you.
Now, you were born in Oceanside in 1928?
I was born in Oceanside in 1928, right in a little house right behind the Econo Loop there off of Mission Avenue.
And this is what is affectionately known in Oceanside as the East Side?
It was the East Side,
And it's really kind of the center of town, isn't it?
Well, that was the end of town, really. That was the east of town. There was nothing after that.
Yeah, but I mean, today it's kind of even a little bit to the western part of the city compared to how far it goes out.
Oh, compared to today, yes.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
And you were telling me that over the years, you haven't really moved that far in the old part of town.
No, I haven't, Tom. I lived in the same neighborhood all my life. In fact, I was born in 28 there on Archer Street, and in 1930 I moved 2 blocks west to 306 San Diego Street, and in 1959 I got married, and I moved 6 blocks north on San Diego Street, and then in 1961 I built my house 2 blocks west of San Diego Street, and that's where I live at 1233 Langford.
And you're still there?
I'm still there.
Yeah. Well, you grew up, when you were a youngster, times were really tough. This was right in the deep depression, the Great Depression. This was in the 30s and early 40s.
Right.
What was it like growing up as a kid in Oceanside?
Well, we all had homemade toys. You know, we made our own kites.
Mm-hmm.
We used to go to the river and get some crutches to make slingshots out of them.
Mm-hmm.
And when we used to play baseball, I remember we used to get the brooms after they were all worn out, cut the handle off, and those were our bats.
Mm-hmm.
Then for baseball, we used to go to the high school. They used to have a tennis court over there.
Mm-hmm.
And they had about a 10-foot fence with a hedge on top, and the tennis balls used to get caught on that hedge. So as kids, we used to climb that hedge and look for tennis balls in that hedge. And when we found one, well, that was our baseball. We played baseball with them.
Now, did you have playgrounds at that time, or did you play in the street? How did you?
I played in the alley right behind my mother's house. We played in that alley. No, there was no parks to speak of.
Well, tell me about going to school. Where did you go to school?
I went in 1935. You had to be 7 years old when you was during the school year. So in 1935, I went to the Americanization school. At that time, you had to. If you was of Mexican descent, you went to the Americanization school, which is over there on Center Street, just south of the Oceanside High School right now.
Well, I know it's still there, and they use it for something else today. But tell me, what was the Americanization school about? I mean, was it just a regular school, or what was its purpose?
Well, you know, as a kid, I really don't know what the purpose of it was. We were a bunch of kids. We were the majority of those kids, I would say probably 90% of those kids were born here, because our parents were the first generation to come. They came in 1918,
So they didn't need to be Americanized. They were already
We
here.
were already Americanized, but the only thing is that we grew up in our neighborhoods, and we grew up Spanish speakers. We didn't know how to speak English. So when we went to school, we didn't know any English at all.
Is that why you entered school, speaking Spanish?
I went to school not knowing a drop of English.
So how long did it take you to learn English?
I remember in the 4th grade, I was already kind of reading a little bit. But one time I asked my 1st grade teacher, this is way after I had gotten out of school and everything, I asked her, how did you teach us? Because they didn't know any Spanish, and we didn't know any English. So she says, Pete, once in a while, I used to get a bilingual student, and I used to use that student as like, so whatever that kid learned, we learned.
Well, I had a friend of mine who I worked with at one of the newspapers. He was born and raised in Hanford, and he entered school in the Hanford school system speaking Spanish only. Didn't know a word of English, and I said, how long did it take you to learn? He said, about 30 days. And I said, 30 days? Why so fast? He says, we didn't get any recess until we started speaking English. So he says it took me about 30 days. Well, now you went from Americanization school. You went there what until 6th or 8th grade?
No, that was only to the 4th grade.
4th grade. Okay.
4th grade. And then from there we went across the street, and just south of the high school right now, or that empty property, that used to be the Oceanside Grammar School. And we went there up to the 8th grade.
And then on over to the high school.
Then we went on to the high school.
Now, when you were in high school, you played football, baseball?
I played football. I started playing football in the JV, the junior varsity, in my junior year. I loved sports because I grew up, playing at the home and everything else. So.
Now you went. You were in high school 43 to 47.
43 to 47.
And that was the war was World War II was going on.
Yeah, in fact, during World War II, when I was in my junior year, I was 18 years of age.
Did you think about it? Did you think about?
Well, I had to register for the draft because I was still drafted in 46.
A lot of the guys quit school and went and joined. Did you think about it?
No, I didn't. I had 2 brothers in there already, so no, I didn't think about it.
Well, how many brothers and sisters do you have?
I have 5 brothers and 1 sister.
And 2 of them were in World War II.
2 were in World War II. In fact, 5 of us have been in the service at one time or another.
Now, you got you graduated from high school in 47. What did you do then?
In 1947, the first thing I did, I went to work for the laborers. And I went to work with the United Concrete Company. And that was the pipeline of water that's coming from Colorado to San Diego County, over there through Pala, Rainbow through Pala. I worked in that area. Now,
along about 1950, the Korean War came along, and it wasn't too long before the draft got you.
Oh, I tell you, Uncle Sam was waiting for me. I was 22 years of age. I was single, and I got my draft notice, and I was drafted into the United States Army.
Where did you take basic training?
I went to Fort Bliss in Salinas. Fort Ord, sorry. Fort Ord. I went to Fort Ord and took my basic there. Then I took my advanced artillery training in Fort Bliss, Texas, and El Paso, Texas.
Now, when you ended up in Korea, which you knew that's what was going to happen, right?
Well, that's what Uncle Simon wanted me for.
Yeah, you were a sergeant on a half track.
I ended up with a staff sergeant in a half track.
And you get out of that unscathed.
Well, the only thing I got is ringing ears out of it. My ears are still ringing.
Yeah. Well, you were telling me that you got some scratches on your arms, but you didn't want to go to the aid station because you didn't want your mom knowing about it.
Well, I got some. I was dodging some mortar shells that were coming at me, and I got some cuts in my legs, and because we had been in the water trying to dodge the mortar shells, my man wanted me to go to the medic and make sure it wasn't infected. I said, no, I'll take a close look at it, and if it gets infected, I'll go to the medic. But right now, no, I'm not going to go. He says, I don't want a Purple Heart. I don't want my mother to know that I'm in combat, so forget it.
Well, you were really concerned about your mom back here at home because you had witnessed what she went through with your 2 older brothers during World War II, so you knew that this.
Yeah,
she was worried about you enough the way it is.
My mother worried a lot during World War II. She had 2 sons in war, and she worried a lot. And I was home, and I witnessed that day in and day out. So I said to myself, no, I'm not going to put my mother through this. I'll let her know I'm fine every day.
How did you do that?
I wrote her a letter every day to let her know the weather was nice and
in Korea.
Well, she didn't know it was that hot. She didn't know it was that cold. But there was a couple of months that were nice. Month of April and the month of October were nice months. Outside of that.
Well, now you told me that you went through one. You had a concussion injury to where you had your back out of place, and you went to a MASH unit.
Yeah, this is the last time we fought. We moved up front. We were taking. I think that's where we ended up in the 38th parallel. We were fighting. We were supporting the infantry. What we used to do, we used to spray in front of the heels of the infantry. So when the infantry moved up,
this is what the 50 caliber.
With 50, we had quad 50. We had tremendous firing power in our half tracks. So when the infantry moved up, we finally took the hill, and I thought I was already safe. I said, well, I sat on the bar before I got into my turret. I sat on that bar, and lo and behold, I hit another landmine, and I flew up in the air and landed about 10 feet away from the track. Mm-hmm. And my back hurt terrible. Mm-hmm. I thought my back was broken in half. So I jumped on the beach on a Jeep that was taking some injured people back to the MASH unit. The MASH unit is only about maybe half a mile away from the real front lines. They were close to the front lines, these MASH units. And I went to the doctor and I told him to check my back. And he said he wanted my Social Security number. I said, no, I'm not going to give you my serial number. Just check my back. I said, I don't want my mother to find out I'm in combat. So he said, well, I'll promise you I won't release the information. Just give me your social service number and we'll check your back. So I gave him a serial number and he checked my back and he put in my discharge wrenched back.
So when I ask you if you got a Purple Heart for that, what did you tell me?
You know, a Purple Heart,
you got
50 cents and
no, but you had, didn't you say you have to bleed before you can get a Purple Heart?
You got to bleed. It's got to be blood.
So a wrench back didn't count.
Wrench back, no, you can. That doesn't give you a Purple Heart. You got to bleed.
But in those days, like you said, a Purple Heart and 50 cents would get you a can of beer.
Get you a can of beer.
Yeah.
50 cents and the Purple Heart got you a can of beer. You know. So.
Well, the wars for you is over with. You're back home. 1952. What happened then?
I went back into construction, you know, because that's what I was doing. And then I got offered a job with a grocery store. Jay Foster offered me a job. He needed a bilingual person.
Before you get there, you did one momentous thing, though, that we take for granted today, but didn't you tell me that you laid a lot of the concrete for Interstate 5?
Yeah, they were building a freeway, the section between Mission Avenue and Vista Way. Mm-hmm. And I helped pour the concrete over Oceanside Boulevard and concrete on Cassidy Street and on California Street and on Vista Way. The concrete on those bridges. I helped pour the concrete there.
So what do you think today when you drive over those? Do you ever think back to those days when there was nothing there and you guys were just building that?
There was nothing there. In fact, all the traffic was still going down Hill Street. And when they first opened it up, I remember there was very little traffic on I-5. Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Yeah. So
now you got out of construction work and you went into the grocery business, and that was your life's work for how many years?
I worked 32 years in the grocery business. I finally retired after 32 years in the retail clerks.
Who'd you start out with?
I started off with Jay Foster. He had a grocery store right across where Maricosta College is right now on Mission Avenue. Right now it's turned into a daycare center. Mm-hmm. And I started there, worked there 9 years. Jay Foster sold it to Kerry Costello. Mm-hmm. And I worked there 9 years. Then after that, I went to work for Alpha Beta when they built it on the corner of Canyon and Mission. Mm-hmm. Alpha Beta built a grocery store there. And I went to work for Alpha Beta, and I worked for Alpha Beta for 23 years. And I finally retired. Mm-hmm. At age 57, I retired from the retail career.
It's a good living, good life.
Oh, it's a good life. It was a good job. Mm-hmm. You know, it was a steady job, because that's one thing Jay Foster he told me, you know, Pete, when it rains, you still work in the grocery store.
And you're inside.
And you're inside, and people eat.
Yeah.
They got to eat. If they don't do anything else, they'll eat, so you'll always have a job. So sure enough, you know, in the grocery store, you'll always have a job. People eat.
So you didn't regret leaving construction to go to?
No, I didn't. I enjoyed working with people. Mm-hmm. I loved working with people. Mm-hmm.
Mm-hmm. Now you've been active with a number of organizations over the years. Well, before we get to that, now after your work with the in the grocery business, didn't you spend a few years with the Oceanside Unified School District?
Volunteering, I did.
Oh, volunteering. Okay.
Volunteering, I did a lot of volunteering in the school district. I didn't work for the school district until after I had retired from the retail clerks.
But it was on a volunteer basis.
All those years was volunteer.
What kind of work did you do?
When I went to work for the school district?
Yeah.
I worked as a custodian. I went back to where I went to work at Laurel School as a custodian there.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
And I worked 7 years.
Now, Laurel School is the neighborhood school on the east side.
That's the neighborhood. That's where
Yeah.
I live 2 blocks away from that.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
So
Now you spent quite a bit of time. You were on the board of directors for the North County Armed Services YMCA.
yeah, that was, I forgot what year it was, a few years back, but that was when they were going to tear down the Borden building. It was still the USO, and they were going to tear down the Borden building. It was during that time that I was on the board, and they were looking for a location to move the YMCA.
So now we've got some pictures here that I got so interested in talking. This first picture, this is you at age 6 months. Where was that taken?
That was taken in front of my uncle's house on San Diego Street. He lived at 307 San Diego Street, and that was taken on San Diego Street there.
Okay, now this is with your family in Anaheim Park. Where's Anaheim Park?
Gee, it's probably not there no more, but Anaheim is in Anaheim.
Oh, no, in this one,
Right.
in other words, Anaheim Park. That was up in Anaheim. Then.
It was in Anaheim.
Okay.
We used to go pick walnuts in the late 30s in Santa Ana. Like Santa Ana City College is right there where the some walnuts used to be. And
Which one's you?
I'm the one that, I'm right here.
Okay, you're the kneeling second from left then, okay?
I'm the first one right here kneeling down.
Yeah, okay. And this picture here is you in playing football for Oceanside High.
Right, that's my junior varsity year.
What year would that have been?
That would be 1946 when I played.
And which one's you?
This one, me with the football right here.
Oh, yeah, okay. Second from right, okay. What position did you play?
There I played the halfback position in the junior varsity.
Did you have a pretty
And then in the varsity I played fullback.
Did you have a pretty good team?
It wasn't bad for the size of the school.
Yeah.
You know, we were a small school.
How big was Oceanside Carlsbad at that time?
I don't recall, but I know that we were the biggest class ever to graduate from Oceanside High School was 115 students.
Is that right?
And that included Carlsbad.
Yeah.
But that was the largest class.
Now this is your graduation
That was my
class?
senior picture.
Senior, okay. And here we are talking about the war. I should have had these up earlier. My mistake. But this is you hunkered down, enjoying that cool weather over there in Korea.
That was my out there camping in my cool weather, like you said, during Korea, living in a foxhole.
And these are those 50 caliber machine guns, what they call the Quad 50.
Those are the Quad 50s.
And that's you behind it on the half track.
Yeah, at that time I was already a gunner in the half track.
Uh-huh.
Had tremendous firing power on those weapons.
Now this picture of you that's Brigadier General R.L. Nichols, and you're getting an award for the
That's for serving on the board.
on the YMCA.
YMCA board.
Yeah. Okay. And then this plaque here that's for both you and Angie, your wife. It's a Friend of Education Award. Now, what were you telling me about that? There aren't that many of them that's been given out.
No, this one here, according to Armstrong. What was his first name? I forget. He told me that only two.
Dan Armstrong, yeah.
He told me that only 2 persons have received that award there. And that was Larry Hatter, and I was the second person to receive this award. And this award is given mostly to organizations because it consists of a lot of volunteer work.
Mm-hmm. And you got this for your work helping the kids and the staff down at the Laurel School?
That, and I served on a lot of committees at the district level, and a lot of when there was a lot of government funding for the school districts. I used to chair a lot of those committees, and like at Laurel School, I served 32 years as a PTA officer. I think about 13 of those years I was president at different times.
Now this is you and Angie and the kids.
That's me and Angie and the kids.
Now what? How many kids do you have?
I think there's 7 there altogether.
Did you lose track? I can imagine what Angie's how she's looking right now. So, what are your kids doing nowadays? What kind of work are they in?
My oldest, he was a music teacher in the Granite and East and Santee, and he passed away. And my other son, the next one is an engineer. He works on it right there in the Sorrento Valley. And the other one was a bookstore manager, and the store went bankrupt. So right now he's looking into the same kind of a position. He's going to get a job next week, he says.
He's in between jobs.
He's in between jobs.
Yeah.
And my daughters, both of them are also graduates from San Diego State. One's a teacher at Ditmar Elementary School, and the other one is some type of supervision and supervisor in Legoland. She didn't go for student teaching. She's got all her education, but she didn't go to student teaching. So she started Legoland. They started promoting her. She loved working with people too, so she stayed there. And my other daughter, she's the stepdaughters. One of them is a custodian at Garrison, and the other one's a mom at home.
Well, it sounds to me like you've got a very successful family.
I've been very fortunate. All my 5 kids, all of them went to college. So I was very fortunate.
That's great.
Fortunate that I was able to do it too, because it's expensive.
What is this picture of you and the GI Forum? Tell me about that.
That one there, I was receiving that's that one there with the California. I was receiving the state Outstanding Member Award for my work that I had done in the organization itself and also in the community.
Well, a lot of people see that name, GI Forum, American GI Forum. Tell me just briefly what that's about.
It's a National Veterans Family Hispanic organization. It started in 1947 in Texas.
But it's mainly for the development of GIs or of guys who were in the service.
Right.
Help them get further education.
Right. It's mostly veterans issues. We get at that.
Kind of like the American Legion, that sort of thing, or
right. But here in Oceanside, we have mostly concentrated in raising money for scholarships, and we've been awarding scholarships since we started back in '66.
Yeah,
we've been awarding
Been
scholarships.
very good about that. Well, Pete, 25 minutes goes by real fast. We're out of time. But I really appreciate you coming in and sharing your life with us here on Living Legacies, and I hope that your story has enlightened a lot of the kids out there today watching that Oceanside wasn't always the way it is today. And
oh, that's for sure.
It sounds like you had a great life.
I enjoyed my life.
Yeah. Thank you very much, Pete. I'm Tom Morrow, and you've been watching Living Legacies. Join us again next time for another edition of Living Legacies here on KOCT. This program is made possible through the generous underwriting grants of Hatter Williams and Purdy Insurance Services of Oceanside, providing North County with complete insurance needs for more than half a century. The TriQuest Corporation, providing quality office and manufacturing space in Oceanside. And the North County Times, serving all of North County with complete local daily news coverage and internet services.